game, Bears at the Titans. This line opened up Titans -6.5. It's down to 5.5. Looks like some sharp money on the Bears. So who do you like in this game?
I'm with the sharps on this one. I like the Bears. I just don't get how the Titans are favored by this much against the Bears. And I think the Bears are overrated. Don't get me wrong. But the Titans just had trouble moving the ball on the Bengals outside of garbage time. The Bengals with this defense that can't defend anyone over the middle. And Ryan Tannehill and company really couldn't pick them apart until they were down by 10 plus points in late in the second half. It just wasn't pretty. Now they're going up against a Bears defense that is going to be, really good against them. They're coming off of a strong performance against the Saints. Granted, the Saints were without a few receivers in that game, including their top two. So take that with a little bit of a grain of salt. But the Bears defense has allowed the 8th fewest points per game at 20.8 this season. And, their offense hasn't been good, but they were able to keep it close against the Saints last week. Nick Foles actually connected on a long pass with Darnell Mooney. And if he's not under pressure, Nick Foles can make some throws. That's his biggest problem is he can't escape pressure because he's very immobile. But the Titans have been so bad rushing the passer this year. I think that they're in the bottom 5 in sacks per game. They just cut Vic Beasley, who they signed as a free agent because he was playing so poorly. So I just think the spread's a little bit too high. I think these teams are more even. I think the Titans are better on offense, but the Bears are much better on defense than the Titans are or have been at least recently. So I'm going to be on the Bears to cover here. I think the Titans could easily win this, but I see this as more of a field goal game than, close to a touchdown.
Yeah, we're 4 for 4. I think this line's too high as well. I made this line Titans -4, so it's not going through any key numbers or anything, but it's a little too high. And yeah, you're right about Nick Foles. I mean, he had a meltdown on Monday night against the Rams because he had pressure in his face. He couldn't find Darnell Mooney on that long touchdown. He just capsized. But yeah, the Titans can't get any pressure on the quarterback. Jadeveon Clowney has not played well. You mentioned they cut Vic Beasley, and as a consequence of that, their pass defense has not played well either. Although Adoree Jackson might be back, and plus Desmond King was just traded. So they could be better against the pass, but they still can't get to the quarterback. And so I think Nick Foles should be able to do well. Also, the Titans play on Thursday night coming up against the Colts, and that's a huge game for them. That's their arch rival. I don't think they care that much about the Bears. Even if they win this game, if they lose next week's game, it doesn't matter because they'll be down against the Colts, and that's the team they need to beat to win the division, not the Bears. And so I just don't know if the effort's going to be here. I think they're going to be looking ahead. Now, the Bears might be a little tired after that long overtime game. That's the one concern I have, but otherwise, I think Chicago is the right side.
Yeah, if Tennessee's playing on Thursday, I'm all over the Bears then because last week I overlooked Green Bay looking ahead to the 49ers, and that turned out to be a mistake. So if I'm trying to learn from my mistakes here, I think the Bears are definitely the right side of the Titans, especially with the divisional clash coming up. Because like you said, that could end up, deciding who's going to be first place in that AFC South if all goes well for the Colts and Titans, throughout the rest of the season. So yeah, I think the Bears will have a legitimate chance to win this game. So if you're giving me 5.5 points, I will take that. Even though I'm not that confident in the Bears as a team, want to get that out there. I still don't like the Bears, but the last time I bet on them as an underdog against the Buccaneers, that ended up going well. So we'll see if I can pull that off again.
Yeah, the fact that there's only one bye, per conference this year, I think that's a big deal because the Titans already lost to the Steelers. So they have to think that the number 1 seed's probably out because they'd have to not only they'd have to pass the Steelers, not just tie them because they lost the tiebreaker there. So they're really competing just for the division. And so the division really depends on that Colts game coming up. So yeah, that's big. And plus, this Bears team's a non-conference team. They see them every 4 years. They just may not care about this game at all. Whereas the Bears are tied with the Packers, and by kickoff, they might be a half a game behind the Packers if the Packers beat the 49ers. So they kind of have to keep pace with them. All right, next.